I made 2 batches of blackberry honey wine using 2 different methods. What I'm about to show you may change the way you brew forever. I'm testing if it's better to add fruit and herbs during primary, or if it's better to wait until after fermentation is finished. The general assumption is that adding these items later on is better due to the increased flavor extraction in the presence of alcohol. But there's a lot more to explore here, and here's how I plan to do it. For the first batch, I'm adding 24 ounces of fresh blackberries, which I mashed up and pretty much liquefied. After that, I added a couple of pounds of wildflower honey. For the second batch, I'm holding off on the fruit and just adding honey for now. The honey amounts are slightly different so that I could keep the honey to water ratios the same while maximizing the volume of the container. Then I added 5 grams of fresh sage to the blackberry mix before finishing off both batches with brewing yeast and yeast nutrient. The idea here is that I'm going to let both of these fully ferment as is, and then when they're finished, I'll remove the fruit from the first one. And then for the second one, I will stabilize and add the same ratio of fresh fruit and sage that the first one had. The reason I'll have to stabilize is so the sugars from the fruit that's added later on do not ferment and turn out exactly like the first batch. Now, before you say it, I'm aware that this experiment is far from perfect, and let me explain why. Since the first batch has additional fermentable sugar from the fruit, it has a higher starting gravity, which means it'll probably produce more alcohol. And then once we add fruit to the second batch, it'll have additional sugar that will not be fermented, and so it'll just be sweeter. That's something I'll have to keep in mind when comparing these, but I think this will still give us a general idea as to the major differences outside of sweetness once we test the final product side by side. So unfortunately, it'll probably be a few months before the results are in, but let me know if you want to stay updated throughout the process.